Could the ongoing Israel-Hamas war cause President Joe Biden some votes from a demographic that Democrats have had no trouble winning in the previous few elections? Young people. I spoke to one Palestinian activist who says that none of the candidates running represent her views.
So currently I don't necessarily feel committed to an individual party or person. I think recently, like you said, before October and especially since October, I've been kind of looking into challenging the two-party system. So looking into third-party options and looking into just how I feel about individual issues rather than boxing myself into a category. Because I've noticed while, I'm probably, I would say, primarily Democrat-leaning in my views, I've recently really started to expand my thought process of, just because I believe something about one issue doesn't automatically mean I mean something else about another issue, which unfortunately the two-party system does kind of force you into those boxes. I kind of feel like that's where my head's at right now.
And the reason I wanted to do this story was because there are actually protests in Michigan for people calling to vote for a third-party candidate, just write in someone else because of the latest action following the war. And so for you, has that been a realization that you just don't feel either candidate is supporting your best interests?
Absolutely. So as a Palestinian, I'm absolutely very adamant about not voting for people who have been complicit or contributing to the genocide and ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. So that's definitely a huge thing for me. But as you mentioned, unfortunately, the other option isn't great either. So I definitely think that looking into third-party options is where my head's at.
And so how do you think that's going to impact a lot of people that are going to be voting out, soon in November when we get to that point, and then especially the campaigns too, because the campaigns are impacted as well. And President Biden in particular is facing a lot of pressure from younger voters too about this. And so how do you think that's going to affect him?
I definitely think that elected officials, whether it's the president, lower government, all across the board, I think are feeling the pressure from especially our younger generation who's saying we are no longer, going to be, we're no longer going to allow complacency, and furthermore, we're no longer willing to not have our voices heard. I think that's a huge thing, in that our generation is pushing to have their voices heard and pushing to be involved and ask the right questions and ask politicians what their views are on specific issues. So I definitely think that the Biden administration and their campaign is definitely kind of feeling that wrath.